What I really want to talk about today is how to create personal accountability. And
Mm.
personal accountability is one of the things that we as leaders always struggle with. And it's one of the things I hear so many team leaders or productivity coaches or other people tell me that they need help on. And after I've coached uh, literally thousands of agents over the years, been in all kinds of leadership roles, one thing I have finally come to believe is this: it is impossible to manage people. And if you try and manage people one on one, as far as, you know, helping them, you will get minute, minuted to death.
Mm.
And if you really want to become a good leader, a good coach, you have to realize that you can only manage systems and processes, and you can't manage people. And if you try and be so flexible that you can manage anybody, the reality is you become ineffective as a leader. And I think that's hard for some people to accept. Have to accept the reality that you can never hold someone accountable for their own behavior. And what I found is the harder you try to hold somebody accountable, the more they will resent you and blame you for their failure.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just one of those things that is the way it is. You can't make a human being productive. And what I found as a leader, you can only facilitate the best condition for someone to choose to be productive. This is something I hear all the time from agents. They say, well, I've got a time management problem. Time management is never a time management problem. It's a decision problem. It's a choice problem. Everybody, the rich, the poor, the successful, unsuccessful, I have the same 24 hours. It's what are the choices I'm making in those 24 hours that determine what I get done.
Yeah.
So the only way to get a human being to make a choice or to make a change or to move into a higher level of productivity is through self-discovery. And as leaders, if we can help people self-discover their own personal accountability, we can actually make a difference for them. The key to getting people to self-discover is that it's done through emotion and not logic. And the number one thing I see most new leaders or productivity coaches go through is that they focus on the numbers to the exclusion of the emotion. And if you only focus on the numbers, I have found that you will fail more often than you succeed. Now, the numbers will tell you the whole story. The numbers is what we've got to look at. But if you only focus on the numbers, you get resentment from people. The other thing I found is that whenever you're talking to somebody about what they are or are not doing, you have to eliminate the word why from your vocabulary. Why always contains judgment. And so what we have to do is learn how to state observable facts without judgment. And once we can do that, we're a lot more effective. Asking an agent why you didn't make those calls, why you didn't follow up, why you didn't do something, instantly puts them on the defensive. If you can learn to say, I noticed you made 25 of the 50 calls you committed to, and just leave it as a statement of fact. And if you can learn to state observable facts just as a statement without any in any sort of judgment, the dialogue and the opportunity will go much better. So
Mm.
what this is really all leading up to is that when people enroll their agents into the Quantum Growth School, it really starts with the expectations that they're setting and creating, and that determines the success or failure of the program. And so many people ask, well, Greg, how much training is in the quantum growth system? And in the first 90 days, there's actually 88 hours of actual training time in the quantum growth system. So a little bit more than an hour a day. What I found is that most people don't need more training. They need more accountability. They need more activity doing what's going to be productive. And the way you do that is not talking about the quality of the training. And, I'm very proud of the quality of the training in the quantum growth system, but there's lots of great training out there in lots of great places. What makes this system work is that if people get in accountability, it makes them productive. And the best way to do this is set expectations, and it's best done in small groups and not large groups. One of the things I've seen is some of the offices that have signed up for the Quantum Growth School or Quantum Growth System enrolled, 100 agents, and they really didn't even tell them what they were enrolling them in. And that's a recipe for inactivity and failure for everybody. What I found is if you have a small group of people, around 10 is ideal, never more than 15, you're going to set up a meeting with them and basically introduce the Quantum Growth School, the Quantum Growth System to them. So you start by setting up an hour-long meeting. And first of all, if you are really going to be somebody that's going to be able to hold agents accountable, you have to demonstrate accountability. So your meeting has to start on time, end on time, and that makes a huge difference so that people can see, gosh, here's somebody that's actually walking their talk. And all you have to do is say, listen, I want to tell you about the Quantum Growth School. It's a 90-day training and activity program trying to get agents into productivities quickly and effectively. And it's an intense program that will push you outside your comfort zones and force you to grow personally and professionally. It's only for agents who are serious about becoming productive agents in the next 90 days. And this is one of the things that I really stress to leaders is that if somebody is not committed to their own growth, if they aren't really interested in learning and growing and doing, enrolling them in more training programs isn't going to help. I don't care what training programs they go to, it's not going to make a difference. And getting somebody into a training program that is not motivated to learn never seems to help. The one thing I found is that if you tell people, listen, the Quantum Growth System actually guarantees that you will open your first transaction in 90 days if you do everything in the course on the date it is assigned, or at the end of 90 days, they'll give you $1,000 cash. And this is something we stood behind since we put this into place. If people do everything we tell them, they will succeed. In fact, I've never had anybody complete the program and not generate a transaction when they did everything that the program asked them to. Now, the other thing is you've got to set expectations of what the agents are going to go through. And so this is really important up front to say, listen, as you go through the Quantum Growth School, it's going to require you to give practice buyer consultations to your friends and family. You're going to have to videotape those presentations and share them with the group. And this is where I like to say, who would be unwilling to do that to succeed in real estate? And ask people to raise their hand if they were unwilling to do that. And what I found is that now you're setting up their commitment to actually doing some of the things that you know they're going to be uncomfortable doing. And this is so effective at getting them to be committed to moving forward. Then you'll have to memorize the 5W script and videotape yourself making calls and tracking your numbers. And you're going to have to memorize the script within a couple of days of getting started. And it's not, you can't role play it. You've got to have it memorized. And we're going to ask you to actually come to our group meetings and share it with people. And what we're doing is setting expectations for what they have to do that we know people struggle with as far as, not wanting to do the work. I also say you have to learn how to use command and do them, say, CMAs that will frustrate you. You're also going to have to agree to manually entering 100 people into command in the first 30 days. You can't do an import. You can't do things. We need you to input 100 people into command, put them on a drip program manually, because that's going to help you learn command better than anything else. And delaying that, yeah. Technology sometimes. And delaying that will just frustrate you. So you're going to actually have to manually enter those 100 people, but that's going to help you learn command incredibly well. Then each weekday, you're going to watch a video, and it's a training video, and then you're going to have action steps to do based on that training. Now, some of the action steps are going to be prospecting. Someone's going to be doing practice presentations. Someone's going to be memorizing your scripts. It's going to give you exactly what you need to do that particular day. Now, when you get done with the training, at the end of each one, there's a feedback form for you to fill out that documents what you've learned. We call it a learning journal. So you type in exactly what your takeaways from the day were, and you're going to start tracking your numbers right into that feedback form, the calls you make, the things you did. And then that feedback form is going to go to your accountability partner and your productivity coach in your office. So every day people can actually see what you're doing. You also are going to be asked to find an accountability partner who is not an agent, who is outside of real estate, outside of your office, that you have to report to on your progress and send them copies of your daily feedback form. And we'll give you a little video to give to your friends, family. Find somebody that you respect that's willing to hold you accountable and you're willing to be vulnerable with, because this is going to make a huge difference. You're also going to have to give the feedback to your PC. Now, to go through this program, it's going to take you 3 to 5 hours every single day, 5 days a week. Now, as a single agent, if you sign up for the program, it's $1,200 for the 90 days. But if you will commit to doing the work, we as a company will pay for you to attend. Now, if you're not willing to, we understand this is not a program for everybody. If you decide to participate, if this is something you want to do, we're going to start with a 4-week trial. And if you complete everything in the first 4 weeks, we'll pay for the next 4. Now, in addition to committing to doing the work, you agree to meet with this group 1 hour a week and report your progress to each other and help each other. Now, you've got to say, I know this program is not for everyone. And if you're not 100% committed to doing the activities, please don't sign up, don't register for this program. Then you need to ask the question, do you think we should practice on the consumer, or should we practice how we want to perform? And I always like to ask the question, tell me, what do you think practicing on the consumer means? And agents will say, well, it means, going and doing your first listing presentation that you really haven't done and practicing on And it's always interesting to get a discussion going about that. And everybody always agrees that they should practice the way they want to perform. So then you ask this question, well, who would miss or show up late to a listing presentation or a buyer consultation? And I always like to ask this question, if you had a listing presentation set up and you just missed it, something came up, there was a problem with your kids, something happened, and you just didn't make it, what would the likely outcome of that missed presentation be? And they'll always say, well, you'd probably not get the listing. So I like to say, well, I have a question. So should you practice missing your practice sessions? And they'll always say, well, no, you really should be there all the time. So I say, well, so what we're going to do is this. If you miss a weekly group meeting, except for an approved emergency, I want you to know you're going to be out of the course. And the group is going to decide what an approved emergency is. And what I found is that the group, if you put it on them, they always are much more stringent than anybody would ever be. I also tell people, listen, if you are more than 5 minutes late to the meeting, for the rest of the meeting, you must remain silent. And if you're late twice, you're out. Because we want to practice the way we want to perform. Now, I say, before I ask you to commit, I want to go around the room and ask you why succeeding in real estate is important to you personally, and share what the consequences will be if you fail in real estate. And this is a critical step to enrolling people, because there's always a reason why they want to succeed, and there's some consequences if they fail. And if they can verbally express those, their commitment level tends to go through the roof. The other thing is, in a small group like this, people will open up and they have similar experiences, and they will be much more willing to help each other because they understand what's at stake for these people. And most of the time, you'll get somebody to be really open and vulnerable, and it makes such a huge difference. Then I like to ask, well, now tell us, what's one thing that having a great year in real estate would give you? One thing that we as a group could be obsessed with helping you accomplish this year. And usually I try and get them to avoid talking about a dollar figure, like, oh, well, I made $200,000. Well, what does that mean to you? If you did $200,000, well, that means I could go on vacation, or I could buy my parents a home, or I could do this. It's that emotional connection that's the leverage point. A number doesn't move people. So it's getting back to what's that one thing. And I found this was critical to write down for each person, because this is the point that now every time you see them, every time you're asking them, now, hey, how are you coming at buying your parents a house? How are you coming on that vacation? How are you coming on this? And that makes people feel like you care and motivates them. When you ask about, are you coming towards your $200,000 goal, it doesn't have the same impact. So it's bringing it down to that emotional level. Then you've got to say, I can't make you successful. And the one thing I've learned is this: I cannot change anything that I don't take responsibility for. In fact, I found that in life, I either take responsibility for it or I become a victim of it. And a lot of people get into real estate and they become victims of real estate because they want to blame everything else out there. And so what I want you to do is think about, are you willing to be open enough to take responsibility for your own success or failure. And have a discussion about that. And as people open up, thank them for being open and honest with you, because that's really the only way we can help them grow. And just make sure that they really understand that at a deep level. And then asking, are you willing to take 100% responsibility for your success? During the first week of this course, what do you think that would look like? And this really sets up everything. And you ask, listen, if somebody said, listen, I did 80% of a job, would you say they were committed to their success? So Dan, if you did 80%, or if I did 80% of the job you gave me, would you say I was committed to succeeding?
Not really, because I'm looking for that 100%.
And this is sort of setting them up. And if you'll notice, what I'm doing is I'm setting them up to be accountable to themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're setting the expectation. So, well, you know, if somebody did 80%, would you say, well, no, they wouldn't be. So what I would like you to do now is make a public declaration about what you're going to do this week. It must be specific, measurable, and actionable. Something you're going to either win by or lose by, and it's just the truth. Maybe it's a statement like, I will watch 100% of the videos and do 100% of the activities the course gives me. Now, if you're not willing to do that, whatever you're willing to commit to, I'm willing to commit to 90%, 80%, 60%. I want to get everybody's commitment. And when you put it in a group setting like this, they almost all will say, I'm committed to doing 100%. Then I like to ask, what can you think of that would guarantee that you would accomplish this goal? And I say, listen, I want you to think about something that wouldn't cost you any money, but you would absolutely hate doing. That you would rather die than have to do. And people will usually stare at you and say, well, give me an example. Well, you know, if a guy says, give me an example, I say, well, maybe you would have to wear a dress to the next office meeting that we did and sit through the whole office meeting in the front row wearing your dress. And if anybody asks you why you're wearing a dress, you have to tell them it's because I didn't do and follow through on my commitment. And I'll look for things like that that are things that people would be mortified if they had to do. And get them to write it. Sometimes I'll even get them to actually write a commitment on paper. If I don't do this during week 1, I will, you know, I'll wear a dress, I'll wear a bikini to my husband's work. I mean, whatever, something funny or things like that that people just don't want to do. And I found that that gives you a tremendous leverage of getting them to follow through on their commitment. Then I like to go around and ask each person, tell me, you've said you're committed to doing 100% of the videos, doing 100% of the activities. Is this commitment for me or is it for you? And somebody will always say, well, you asked me to commit to it. I said, so if you do the work, is that for my benefit or your benefit? And I always want them to get to commit that it's their commitment and it's to their benefit.
Mm.
Then I say, well, tell me, what will it tell you about your commitment to success in real estate if you don't do what you committed to? And it's important to do this before they fail at something. Because now they'll say stuff like, well, it means it really wasn't that important to me, or, you know, I'm really not that committed. And when they're saying this out loud in advance, you can even sense their commitment level getting stronger and stronger. And that really makes a huge difference overall. Then I will ask them, listen, now, how many of you really want to participate in this program? If you do, that's great. If not, it's totally optional. And it's up to you whether you want to move forward with this. And enroll them at that point in time if they want to move forward. So I know without a lot of people here, there wasn't as many things. So questions that you have, Dan?
Well, right off the top, I think all this stuff is good stuff. Okay, you know, I mean, you know what, I mean, you know, with this launch coach program that I'm part of as a coach, I find a lot of, you know, I mean, I like some of these questions that you would pose to the agent because it's really going to make them think. You know, it's like, okay, why are you in real estate? You know, I mean, you know, just because, you know, you bought a house 30 years ago, say, oh, you know, I want to go out and get my real estate license. Or, you know, I watch HGTV, you know, all those realtors showing these properties. It looks so easy. But yeah, I think this is all good. And you know, I mean, the one big word that comes to mind is discipline. And, you know, these agents, these new agents, well, even older agents, because, you know, I mean, since COVID, you know, the real estate industry has really changed, you know, not only the market, but with technology, so on and so forth. I mean, you know, you got to start labeling it before COVID and after COVID nowadays, because that's one of the coaches in UHG mentioned that in our weekly group coach call on Wednesday, and he's right about that, you know, and you know, I mean, you know, I'm sitting here running a business. I mean, I have an office outside of my office that I pay rent, and I just hired a VA. I have to pay them. I also have a marketing admin team, which is made up of special needs students at a local school here that I came about. The school pays them, but I have to have in the back of my mind that, okay, let me just pretend that I'm paying them because they're getting paid for what I bring them. And naturally, you know, what they do for me, I got to go out and door knock. I got to go out and mail the stuff out. So, you know, all this stuff is starting to come full circle. I mean, I've taken Bold. I mean, I'm in Bold right now. It's 7 times for me.
Okay.
Because I remember back in 2012 when I came to Keller Williams, went to the mega camp first year. Gary's up there on stage. I can even remember the time. It was just like after 9 a.m. And he started talking about Bold because Bold was like just in its infancy. And he said that Bold was going to be, will create or will produce the agent of the future. And as the years go by with Bold and how it changed, especially with COVID, how it changed everything, I'm starting to see that more and more. And, you know, that's why, yeah, I mean, this stuff is golden right here.
And
You know,
to me, one of the things that the Quantum Growth School really works on is getting them to have what I call that business mindset. And that's really what
yes,
you're learning to,
yes,
to
mhm,
think, I am a business person. This is not
yes,
a job. This is a business. I must act entrepreneurial, you know, and towards the end of it, we really go through the 6 personal perspectives and making sure that they're really looking at it from an that purposeful perspective and not being just totally, you know, in the activities of it. And that does make such a huge difference to move
yeah,
people forward effectively. The
Yeah.
other thing I found that has changed
yeah.
in COVID is that consumers are consuming more video than ever before. And I've
Mhm.
really stressed in the program that agents need to create servicing videos and prospecting videos and drip them out consistently across everything they're doing.
Yes.
And I do think that as agents going forward, especially in the post-COVID era, video is going to still become more and more valuable and important, and people have
Um,
got to
yeah.
embrace it and not be afraid of doing it.
Yeah, because I actually shoot a video each day. It's my 24-hour market watch for Central New Jersey real estate. I email it to my VA and she posts it on my personal page, my business page, and I do it on my story. But getting to the 6 personal perspectives, that's a class that I instruct in my market center.
All right.
And the reason I do it is not because I want to teach the agents. I want to learn the 6 person perspectives, because each time I teach that, I learn something new about it. And I'm starting to get to that point where, I mean, if you were to look at my 135, like my coach said the other day, you know what, Dan, your 135 is an example of a business owner. I said, yeah, well, I got into real estate because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I felt that real estate was the path to it. And especially being with Keller Williams, their philosophy,
Well,
life by design.
I agree. I think that for entrepreneurial minded people that are willing to be business people, real estate is incredibly an amazing business. It just doesn't work for people that are looking for a job that needs a manager to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
And one of the things I often tell students when they start is, listen, if you're looking for somebody to hold your hand and do everything single step along the way, you're going to fail in real estate. In fact, I give them a class on how to do a CMA, and I say, listen, this is sort of the basics of how to do a CMA. And every one of you has a different MLS and a different system. And here's the only instruction that I'm going to give you. Do not ever ask anybody in your office or any other person for help on figuring out your first CMA. I need you to struggle through how to figure it out. It's the struggle that will make you competent. You can watch somebody do 27 CMAs and you won't be able to do one.
You know what, Greg? I wish you could tell that to my, because I also teach the CMA in my class, in my market center. And the thing is, I just go through the tutorial, and I got like 3 complaints, because the last time I was doing this CMA, I don't know, I ran into problems. But and I said to the she's in charge of onboarding agents, so on and so forth. And I said, to the person, I said, Gloria, these agents, I would love to find one of them that's curious, say, hey, you know what? Let me do a CMA myself, see what I can do. Because I've done it myself on my own. And, it took a while, but that's what I'm trying to relay to them. I mean, but next time I do it in July, I'm doing a 1-hour demonstration on how to do it in the system. And, that's why I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what I was trying to tell her, that these people should go out and do a CMA on their own, then come back with your questions and issues that you're having.
Because until they struggle through it on their own, they'll never figure out how to do it. And they can watch you do it over and over again.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's just like doing an open house. It takes maybe a year, 2 years to get to an open house where you can do it efficiently and effectively and get business from it.
Or it takes, this is sort of like prospecting and cold calling. It's like everything. It's how well did you practice it,
mm-hmm.
and really put in the effort before you got there. Unfortunately, I do think so many agents practice on the consumer. They really
Yeah.
don't think about how do I role play an open house and really get it good until they do open houses, and then they blow a whole bunch of stuff before they get competent enough to actually capitalize on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, any other questions you have about the quantum growth system, about today? Anything I can help you with?
Let's see.
And I am going to be doing these every Friday going forward for people in the quantum growth system. Hopefully we'll get some momentum going, and we'll deal with any issues
Mhm.
and things come up, and I'll just do some leadership and accountability training going forward. So hopefully you'll be back next Friday.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is on my calendar. I mean, yeah, I like this session because, I like the part about having an accountability partner outside of real estate. I-
I found that actually works much better in that as new agents also, I found, are not good accountability partners for each other
Mhm. Yeah.
because they let each other off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that agents will work much harder to impress a friend outside of real estate than they will another agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like that part about self-discovery.
And that is the truth that I found over and over again. When I was running the PC program at KW South Bay, I found that you can't force anybody to do anything. You can just help them discover and
Yeah.
decide whether they want to opt out. I used to tell people, listen, my goal is this. If you join my PC program, my goal is to get you either out of real estate in 90 days or have you close your first transaction in 90 days. I'm fine with either one, but I don't want people here that are not productive. And it actually took me a long time to convince my team leader to let me give agents their licenses back. But I told them at the end of 90 days, you're either going to have something in escrow or I'm going to give you your license back. And when I started giving licenses back, our productivity went through the roof. And it wasn't until we actually gave licenses back that people ever took it seriously. I tell PCs all the time, you've got to be willing to hold yourself accountable to the standards you want your agents to live up to. And that makes a huge difference when they know you're serious about helping them succeed in what they're doing in their real estate career.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, it was great getting to know you, and we'll look forward to seeing you
Likewise.
next week. And have a great week. And if there's anything I can do for you, let me know.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye.